what is the true cost of covert operations? I mean, not just for the nations locked in some kind of shadow war, but for the one single person who gets caught in the middle.
And could a routine visit to the dentist, someone leading a totally quiet life, just spiral into high-stakes espionage and brutal interrogation?
That's the core question we're tackling today. We are doing an extended analysis of David McCloskey's novel, The Persian.
And we want you to enjoy a bold new take on book coverage with this extended analysis. This is more than just a summary, though we do include that too.
Right, this feature examines how the author shapes their argument, how they build influence, and how they earn or maybe lose your trust. The goal is really to give you the tools to read with, well, sharper insight.
Exactly. Should you read this book? This should help you decide. It's also, I think, excellent for aspiring writers.
If you find this format valuable, we would love to hear from you. Your feedback really does help guide what we do next.
And for a little context, you are experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation, all designed for a deeper, more dynamic book analysis.
Okay, so to set the stage, The Persian is about a man named Kamran Esfahani. He's an Iranian Jewish dentist who fled the revolution, and now he lives this quiet life in Stockholm.
But he's systematically recruited by the Israeli Mossad, and he's pushed into this incredibly complex and dangerous set of operations over several years.
The whole narrative tracks his rise and, well, his inevitable fall, which ends with his capture and interrogation by Iranian intelligence. It's this expert blend of spycraft and just a really agonizing psychological portrait.
What gives this novel its immediate power is the tremendous ethos, the credibility that McCloskey brings to it. He isn't just a thriller writer.
Not at all. He's a former CIA analyst. He worked on Syria, on Middle East conflicts. This is a guy who briefed senior U.S. officials and served in the field during the Arab Spring.
And that background, it isn't just a fun fact for the book jacket. It fundamentally underpins the whole experience for the reader. It reassures you that the details, the tradecraft, it's all grounded in real intelligence practice.
Right. It avoids those huge, impossible leaps of faith you see in so many cinematic spy stories.
Exactly. When we talk about realism here, what we're really talking about is the depiction of humanity. That's human intelligence. The book shows intelligence work for what it often is: methodical, bureaucratic, slow, and, frankly, pretty ugly.
It's not about finding some kind of super spy.
No, it's about finding and exploiting vulnerabilities.
So let's unpack that a little. How does the book show that methodical, non-cinematic path to recruitment? Because we aren't talking about a sudden blackmail scene.
No, it's all about identification and assessment. Mossad sees Kamran's financial issues. They see his complicated identity as an Iranian Jew who feels displaced. The process isn't one single pitch.
It's a grooming process.
It's a slow, incremental buildup of rapport. They leverage his resentment towards the Iranian regime, they appeal to his Zionist sympathies, and they do it step by step. So when he finally commits to these incredibly high-risk missions—
things like surveillance, smuggling weapons.
Smuggling weapons, even getting involved in a potential kidnapping— the audience believes it. You believe he got there one small decision at a time.
So the realism is in the psychology, the manipulation.
Yeah.
But here's where McCloskey really shows his analytical side. He completely refuses the simple story of, our side is better.
Ah, yes. The book makes it very clear that Iranian intelligence is also highly capable. They're running effective counter-operations. They have agents inside Israel.
And that detail is so critical to the ethos of this world he's building, isn't it?
It's absolutely essential. It disrupts any simplistic black and white idea that one side is technically superior or morally clean. It shows espionage for what it is, a complicated ecosystem where both sides are manipulating people, using grievances, using money, and risking massive collateral damage.
So if the author's background gives the book its authority, its ethos, let's shift to the structure he builds, the internal logic of the story, the logos.
Yeah.
And the central device is just chillingly simple.
It is. It's Kamran's final confession, which he's being forced to write under intense physical duress for a high-ranking Iranian general.
This is such a brilliant rhetorical choice. It immediately pulls the reader into a logical puzzle that runs the entire length of the book. We know it's coerced, we know it's unreliable.
But we don't know how it's unreliable. We don't know what parts are false or what tiny, crucial detail Kamran is still desperately trying to hide.
And the structure of the novel just supports this ambiguity perfectly. He uses a dual timeline strategy.
Right, you're constantly jumping between the brutal present tense interrogation scenes in Tehran.
And these expansive flashbacks to his past operations. Tehran, Tel Aviv, Istanbul, Stockholm. This constant shift forces you to question everything. Is he lying now to save his skin? Or was he lying then to survive his missions?
And what's so fascinating is the theme that emerges from this. In espionage, stories are weapons. A confession is a weapon. A cover legend is a weapon. The reports an agent sends back are weapons used against rivals inside their own agency.
So the structure forces you to accept that once truth is shaped by fear and violence, it might be, well, completely irrecoverable.
And he weaponizes his own story. He knows the general wants a complete narrative. Kamran's last fight, his only bit of agency, is controlling what's not written down.
Protecting an ally, maybe.
Exactly. Protecting an identity, obscuring the location of an asset. The struggle is about who owns the narrative, even when your body is completely broken.
And that becomes the implicit argument about state power. McCloskey is showing both Israeli and Iranian services manipulating people using the same tools. Money, ideology, personal grievance.
The pattern of events becomes its own logical appeal. It argues that espionage is a dirty game for everyone involved, but without ever lecturing you about it. The evidence is just laid bare.
Before we move on, if you are finding this expanded format valuable, just a reminder that our focus is on giving you the tools to read with sharper insight.
And we also want to mention that Mindful Moments, our YouTube channel, offers AI book analysis, summaries, and critiques. They are all designed to inspire reflection and rational thought.
Okay, so now let's dive into the pathos. The emotional weight of this story, which is just devastating. And it all centers on Kamran's identity crisis.
It really does. He's an Iranian Jew. His family was forced out after the '79 revolution. And this fractured heritage is what makes his whole journey so agonizing for the reader.
He doesn't see Israel as just one thing, does he?
Not at all. To him, it's simultaneously a necessary refuge, a symbol of defiance against the regime that exiled him, and eventually, it's also a potential instrument of its own ruthless transactional interests. That tension is the emotional anchor of the whole novel.
And his imprisonment, the torture, that's the ultimate emotional crucible. The fight isn't just about physical pain.
No, it's a moral battle against being completely erased. He's grappling with this profound guilt over the allies he recruited and exposed. He's questioning if his handlers just saw him as expendable collateral. The real emotional core is his fight to protect that one hidden secret, that last piece of himself.
That psychological warfare is almost more compelling than the actual spy missions.
I think it is. You're watching a slow-motion ethical disintegration. You see him rationalize his choices and then immediately recoil from the consequences. It puts you, the reader, right inside that ethical ambiguity with him.
And the supporting characters really amplify that. The book mentions an Iranian widow whose desire for revenge against Mossad is what kicks off the operation that leads to Kamran's capture.
She's a brilliant device. She dramatizes the fact that these geopolitical conflicts aren't abstract. They're fueled by deeply personal, tragic motivations: grief, nationalism, survival.
And when those emotions collide with covert ops, the result is just destructive.
Yeah.
You end up feeling for people on both sides whose lives are just consumed by these larger, cynical games.
McCloskey also uses rhetorical contrast to deepen that emotional argument. You have the shift between cosmopolitan, safe Stockholm, then war-shadowed Tel Aviv, and then repressive, hostile Tehran.
Geography shapes the stakes, for sure. But the really profound contrast is between Kamran's old life as a dentist, a healer, and his new role orchestrating violence.
That's it. That contrast dramatizes the core question of the book. What does it take to turn an ordinary professional into an instrument of state violence? It's essential to the whole argument about the human cost.
So, summarizing this deep dive, how effective is The Persian at aligning all those genre expectations, the intricate plots, the realism, with these deeper ethical questions?
I'd say it's exceptionally effective. It gives a sophisticated spy thriller audience everything they want. The complex plots, the geopolitical texture grounded in real Iran-Israel tensions, but it elevates itself by refusing to offer simple patriotism or clean resolutions.
But that complexity, that's the trade-off, isn't it? For some readers, the sheer number of characters and layers of deception might be really demanding.
It could be. And the emotional intensity of the torture scenes, they might risk overshadowing some of the quieter questions, even if they are structurally necessary.
That's a fair point.
But I think, rhetorically, those tensions are the source of the book's power. It's a gold standard example of contemporary spy fiction that actually invites serious reflection on vengeance, loyalty, and the astronomical cost of state power.
It really embraces moral and narrative ambiguity instead of smoothing it over for comfort. The prose is so clear, so detailed, and it balances those fast-paced operational sequences with the slower, reflective passages inside Cameron's head.
And that first-person perspective, anchored by the confession, it keeps the reader tied so tightly to Cameron's fears and rationalizations. It makes the psychological drama immediate and powerful, right to the very last page.
Which leads us with a final thought. If everyone involved in espionage, the agents, the handlers, the interrogators, is using stories as weapons, is it ever truly possible for someone like Cameron to defect back to reality?
Click the link on screen for the in-depth book summary, then subscribe, share, consider purchasing the book via the link, and think rationally.
See the many genre-based book podcasts at Mindful Moments. Subscribe and nourish your mind on the go.